heating and air conditioning, HVAC, residential uses, some commercial uses. A dual run capacitor for the compressor and the condenser fan motor, and what are the purposes and how to test a condenser fan motor. First, one must understand the particular labels here. The 4-prong is the common, the 2-prong is for the fan, the 3-prong is the Herm. So the Herm means hermetic. That is for the compressor. So if we spin this around, and get a close-up here, we actually see the little C. The C stands for common here. Okay, if we rotate it this way and we look closely at the capacitor, we see a term called Herm, H-E-R-M. Herm means hermetic. That's for the compressor. So if we rotate it this way, we see the 2-prong, and as the label bespeaks, the 2-prong indicates fan. So we have common, Herm, and fan. So now, question, if we want to test this particular capacitor here, different capacitors come in different sizes. So what way would we know what size we need? Generally speaking, the size that your system has, or you can get the model number and the serial number and then pull the background specs, and it should tell you what. Sometimes out there there's a label on the sticker, and what I tell people, to get you a clear label from one of your office places, to stick them on one side and cover that label so that label does not get dry rotted, so you'll be able to read it for years to come, because otherwise they get dry rotted, get faded, leaves, rain, etc. So it's just a little cheap, inexpensive way to, when you're working on it, to know your model number, serial number. But in this particular case, this model number is a 35.5 microfarads. The little squiggly M and the F means microfarads. So the larger number would be for the compressor. The smaller number would be for the condenser fan motor. So in this particular case, this compressor would have a 35 for the compressor and a 5 microfarads for the condenser fan motor. So now if we decide to check this, we need a multimeter, whatever brand you choose. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, and as long as it's a good quality and you get a good read. So we take this and we look here on this particular one, we have microfarads. So we rotate this around to the microfarad setting, and as one can see, we have the dial pointing towards microfarads, MFD. Okay, we hit the black light. So we need 2 terminals here. So what we do is we go from, remember the 4 is for the common. So we touch the 4, and we say touch the 4 here, and it's kind of difficult to do here, but we touch the 4, and then we come back and we touch the 3. So we got a 4 and a 3, and then we go over here and we read this meter, and this meter is reading 34.5. So remember, we had a 35 microfarad. Plus or minus a certain amount would be fine. So it popped up to 34.7. So now we're on the common and we're on the Herm. So it was a 35.5. So now we know that the microfarads is a 34.7 plus or minus. The capacitor's calling for a 35, but that should be close enough. So we take the leads off, and we let the meter settle back down, And then we want to test the fan now. So what we do is we go from the 2 to the 3. So 2 to the 4. The 4 is the common. So now we go 2 to the 4. We go over here to the meter and it reads 5.1. So again, the fan, we had a 35.5 microfarad. So now we're reading 5 microfarads. So this capacitor is testing good here. So now if I pull off of this and let the meter settle back down, and I go back here to common, and then I go to common, and then I go to Herm, this should be the 35 reading. Let's see what it does. 33, 34, 34, 4, 34, 5. So 34, 5, it should be good. We'll test it one more time just to see see how. And sometimes it depends on how good of a connection one makes with the leads. For instance, here looks like we've got a good connection. So now we should be reading somewhere upwards in the range of 35. So we're 34.5. So I would say this capacitor is testing good. Now we go from there. That was on the hermetic. The large one's for the compressor, the hermetic's for the compressor. The smaller number is for the fan motor. So we go common. We cross over between the 4-prong and the 2-prong, the common and the 2-prong. So now we go back to the meter and we got 4.5. And I think sometimes it depends on where you get and how good of a connection you get to get a precise reading. And now, let's see, we need something upwards. So we're getting close to the 5 range. And so do this. So I would say this capacitor would test good. Where it's calling for a 35, as one can see, 35.5. So we tested close to the 35 and close to the 5. So this capacitor would probably do well. When a case in point now, and tidbit of information, if changing the condenser fan motor or changing the compressor or something, it may not be a bad idea to change these capacitors, because these capacitors have a X amount of life in them, and I'm not sure I'm sure it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer, and I'm not certain exactly how many years, but it's not a bad idea to change these capacitors once every couple years and keep it fresh. And this is again a dual run capacitor, 35.5 for a either heat pump, gas furnace, or whatever. So the heat pump I'm not certain if the compressor may be a little bit larger on the heat pump, because the heat pump runs year round. It may need to be a little bit more robust, but the tech gurus, HVAC gurus, can add this to the comments. But this particular one here calls for a 35.5 microfarad. We're somewhere in the range. So, and just to reiterate here, the 4 is the common, is the C bespeaks. The 3 is the hermetic for the compressor. The 2 is for the fan, for the fan motor. So this is a dual run capacitor. Dual meaning it operates 2 things. 1, 2, the fan, and this. It means the capacitor has functions for two different ones. It's housed in one housing, but it functions for two different entities, so they call it a dual, and it's a run capacitor. It's not a start capacitor. There are start capacitor, there are hard start capacitors, but this is a dual run capacitor for HVAC systems, and good idea to change them every couple years, or once the condenser fan motor, the compressor's been changed, it's not a bad idea to change it at that point either. So I hope this helps, and I hope it clarifies what the function of the capacitor. Now, if this capacitor goes bad, your compressor and fan motor may not work, or it may not work up to par. So hope this helps. If you find any of these videos helpful, please feel free to share, like, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.